The story of the 1984 Rothmans Circuit of Ireland was one of decimation amongst the top 10 seeds. The 600 fast and furious Irish Tarmac stage miles saw the favourites drop out one by one. Like the 10 green bottles standing on a wall, after the Easter 5-day motoring classic, there was just one green bottle left, one out of that top 10. Before the Good Friday morning Belfast start, the top 3 seeds gave us their views.
Well, Jimmy, you've won 3 out of the last 4 circuits. What's your plans to make it 4 out of 5?
Well, just try our hardest and see if we can do it. It's, you know, unfortunately we had a big problem last year on the first day, and that mucked up the chances of making it 4 in a row. So we must start again and try and make it 4 in a row from now.
It's beginning to rain, Jimmy. Is it going to be very difficult to choose the proper tyre?
Yes, this is the problem actually when it's like this, you know, where you've only got showers of rain. You can never really be sure that you have the correct tyres, and you can lose so much time if you're on the wrong tyre. So it's a bit of a hit and miss actually when it's like this. It's either got to be all wet or all dry.
The very best luck to you, Jimmy. Thank you.
Thank you.
Henry Tavanen, you have lots of experience on the circuit. How do you think this Porsche is going to adapt to Irish tarmac?
Well, maybe I have some experience from this rally, but I must say that we don't have any experience with this car. We know that it's very nice on the smooth, fast roads, but we really don't know anything how it goes on the fast and bumpy roads like you have here, especially when it's wet and you know, the mud comes from the banks on the road. So for sure it will be much more slippier than ever I've driven.
With the last few days, you've been out around the Friday stages doing your practice. How have you found them?
Well, I just done them 2-3 times because I had a rally in France, so I came a little bit late here. But they're nice, fast special stages, except like I said, that I think those bumpy bits doesn't fit for us. But it should be okay. Anyway, I like when it's practice, you know, so there will be no surprises with the corners.
Russell Brooks, you're the reigning champion and 3 times winner. What thoughts are going through your mind this morning?
Oh, dear me, will it rain, will the sun shine? You just don't know, you know, and you wonder how the opposition are going to do. It's the first time I've driven the Opel Manta on tarmac, so we feel a little bit at a disadvantage there, but I'm sure at the end of a rally this long we'll be able to drive it at the finish.
Are you personally disappointed that you're not going to Killarney this year? After all, that was your scene.
A little bit, yes, but I think it'd be rather nice to try the roads around Waterford. I understand that nobody has rallied on them, so it's going to be new for everybody. And perhaps I think the Killarney traders will start to realise what they're missing when the rally doesn't go there. Perhaps we'll go back there in the future.
Prophetic words indeed, but there's no Waterford for Brooks this year. Just 1 mile into the first special stage, he's out with a broken prop shaft. And then there were 9 green bottles. On the first couple of stages, it was Jimmy McRae and the Opel Manta 400 at number 1 who battled for the lead with car number 2, the Rothmans Porsche at Henry Tavanen, with Henry fastest. At 4 was the Audi Quattro of former German champion Harald de Muth, lying in 3rd spot after the first stage. Number 7 here is B-seated Yorkshireman Chris Lord in the Volkswagen Golf, running in Group A trim. But local interest is centred on the 3 Mantas at 8, 9 and 10. Bertie Fisher in the Shell Gold Card example, Cork farmer Billy Coleman, a 2-time circuit winner at number 9, supported by dealer Team Ireland, and Dubliner Austin McHale in the NDT supported model at number 10. On the 3rd special stage, Hamilton's Folly, suddenly it's McRae leading, by over a minute in fact, from 2nd placed Harald de Muth in the fire-spitting Audi Quattro. Bertie Fisher and his co-driver Austin Fraser have moved into 3rd place, just 4 seconds back. But where's the Porsche? A damaged wing and a flat tire provide the answer. The Flying Finn has had troubles, dropping him way off the leaderboard. The top half dozen are now completed by Austin McHale and Billy Coleman in 4th and 5th places, again split by mere seconds. Enniskillen's Ernest Kidney's Lotus Sunbeam is running at number 12. Ernest, making his once-a-year rally outing, is lying a splendid 6th place overall. But that Hamilton's Folly stage, with its many bumps and crests, over 20 miles long, caused many problems. The top drivers were glad to reach the service at Downpatrick and give us some of their views.
Any problems so far today, Bertie?
No problems at all. It's been running very smoothly so far. We've had a fairly clean run over those first 3 stages. Pace seems to be fairly hectic up front, but we're sort of working on the principle that it's still a very long rally and trying to settle ourselves in before we get out of the stages without pace notes. So we're happy enough so far.
Austin McHale, you've had a problem with your intercom on that last stage. Just how much time has it cost you?
I don't know how much time it's cost. I'd say probably about 10 seconds, 10 maybe 15 seconds. It stopped working about halfway through the stage, but we get sorted out now in the service.
You've said on previous occasions that you don't fancy rallies that practice is allowed. Have you changed your mind today?
No, not really. For practice events, you go out and make notes and check them, and you really need to be experienced for that. We have very little experience of pace notes, and Jimmy McRae and them boys, they're professionals at it, and they can really go very well. Where I'm more used to driving blind all the time, and we hope we'll be able to go a bit quicker when the rally does get blind.
Yes, so you're just going to sit back today and try and make your break on the way to Waterford tomorrow, is that correct?
No, it's a long rally. We won't try and make the break just to Waterford, down to Waterford, around Waterford, and back up to Donegal and back into Belfast. There's not a lot of rally left yet. There's only 3 stages gone, and we'll be taking it, see what's going on anyway,
Okay, thanks, Austin.
Right.
Henry Tyvonen, you've had a few problems. Can you tell us exactly what they were?
Yeah, well, we were coming with the 5th gear and over the crest, and my plug fell down from this, so we didn't have any connection with Ian, and I didn't know where the road goes, so we went off and had 2 punctures and lost 10 minutes.
And how much time has it cost you?
Around 7 minutes.
Okay, Henry.
In the now brilliant sunshine, 3 times winner Jimmy McRae leads the rally for a repeat run over Ballyduggan Lake and Hamilton's Folly stages. The Good Friday run is all about pace notes, high speeds and precision driving. However, one other top driver already gone is young Stanley Orr. He set joint 5th fastest time on the very first stage. Then his hired Ascona engine blew up, and 10 minutes later he was sitting at home drinking tea. And it's back to those green bottles time again. Another one is about to fall. The Group A rover of Colin Malkin has mortally wounded rear suspension. Its rally nearly run. Look out for the various bits and pieces trailing under the rover. Some drivers didn't have the time or maybe the inclination to make pace notes. Look here for John Price's co-driver Derek Davies pointing the direction of the corner. They didn't make notes, and their beautiful Renault 5 Turbo is now lying at the back of the top 10. The top drivers were, however, all on notes, using all sorts of landmarks to denote braking distances and the severity of the corners, with Cork farmer Billy Coleman using trees as marker posts as well, even giving his co-driver Ronan Morgan horticultural lessons to differentiate between ash, oak and silver birch trees. However, driving on pace notes means total commitment from the rally crews and high speeds. Rally leader Jimmy McRae so very nearly came to grief 2nd time over Hamilton's Folly. The notes said flat out, but gravel thrown onto the road over a crest told a different story from the first time over the stage. The Rothman circuit leader careered through a fence, over a bank and into a field. His AC Delco Manta severely bashed about, but luckily with no mechanical damage. The Scotsman's lead was reduced, but still intact. When McRae landed on top of the bank, he let co-driver Mike Nicholson out to open the farm gate, drove round the field and collected Mike on the way out again. Nearly 30 seconds were lost, but it was oh so close to a disaster for Britain's only A-seated rally driver. oh dear, it's just about green bottle time again. The Volkswagen Golf of Yorkshireman Chris Lord retires just after this point in the rally with a big hole in the sump. The event is only 5 stages old and 3 of the top 10 are gone. There were 7 green bottles left. The battle for Group A honours has taken an unexpected twist. Colin Malcolm has already gone out, and in fact Ken McKinstry and Tim Bryce are fighting for the category lead. The person expected to do well, particularly with experienced Ulster co-driver Fred Gallagher reading the pace notes, was Finland's Juha Kankinen. Here he tells us the story of his problems.
Lots of problems this morning. Could you tell us a little bit more exactly what happened?
Yes, in the first stage we just hit a little bit to the stone and of course break the wheel and tire, and then we spin and break the steering arm, and we lost about 1.5 minutes, and then they repair it, but we had something 7 minutes road penalty, but now it's okay.
As Billy Coleman powers through the 6th special stage, Kirkcaldy, he's now in 4th place, and totally unaware that his teammate McHale, who started the stage 1 minute behind him, has one of his rear Michelin racers in tatters and is about to lose more time. Valuable seconds tick away as the crew release their seatbelts. But manpower soon has the Manta lifted and the wheels soon changed. This mishap costs Austin over 2 minutes in stage time, dropping him from 5th place down to 7th. The Dubliner now has a lot to do. With the Friday run drawing to a close, Winston Henry in the Ford Escort was lying just off the leaderboard, having dropped 3 minutes with a puncture. The circuit's first day ended with a stage through the picturesque village of Glencoe in County Antrim. Jimmy McRae was leading here, but not for long. His Manta was about to have a head gasket change, moving Jimmy from 1st to 4th place. Bertie Fisher, in 2nd place for most of the Friday, was the new overnight leader. His Shell Gold Card Manta hadn't missed a beat so far, and Fisher revelled in the pace notes. A perfect partnership with co-driver Austin Fraser as the noise of the Manta bounced off the Glencoe stone walls. Harold Demuth was now up to 2nd place. His Audi engine had received attention at nearly every service area. Its complicated fuel injection system was playing up. The Bavarian was just 21 seconds behind Fisher. Billy Coleman now moved into 3rd place. He was only 11 seconds behind the former German champion going into Belfast. The Corkman had achieved what he wanted on the Friday. Go easy on the Manta, but still stay in touch with the leaders. Sensational throughout the day was Henry Toivonen. The Rothmans' Porsche was up to 5th by day's end, from 35th after stage 3. By far the fastest car in the rally. 9 out of 10 fastest stage times so far. Co-driver Ian Grinrod's pace notes were working well. As Austin McHale and co-driver Christy Farrell sweep down through Glencoe, they are lying 7th despite those punctures. As we picture McHale, the rest of the leaderboard is made up of Ernest Kidney in 6th place, a flu-stricken Mike Dunyan in the Chevette in 8th, Davy Evans in the Nissan 9th, and John Price 10th. The Rothmans circuit restarted at the unsociable hour of 4 o'clock on the Saturday morning, in total darkness of course. We pick the action up here after the rally has crossed the border, on its long, tough haul down to its new overnight halt in Waterford, via a breakfast halt in Dublin City. Bertie Fisher led the cavalcade, but the leading drivers, including Fisher, were looking over their shoulders at the hard-charging Toivonen. On Saturday morning, after only 2 stages, he had already moved from an overnight 5th to 4th place, passing McRae, who was now struggling with a sick engine. Pace notes were not allowed over the border, the crews having to drive the stages unseen, suiting some, like McHale, but lessening the advantage of professional drivers like Toivonen and Demuth. Indeed, on stage 13, Tarmac, the first of the unseen stages, McHale was just 1 second slower than Toivonen. The Dubliner was moving onto home ground and determined to make up for lost puncture time.
Harold Demuth, you had engine problems yesterday. How has it been for you so far this morning?
Well, quite okay. So we are going now on the blind stages, and of course I have a lack of experience. And on the other side I try to drive with no risk. So you can expect maybe I drop back a little bit.
And you've been perfectly happy with those stages this morning, even though you had to drive them on the blind?
Yes, that's quite a new experience, you know. I never did a blind tarmac rally with a big quattro, but it's working quite okay.
We hope that everything goes okay for you, Harold. Thank you.
Thank you.
Billy Coleman in 3rd position. At the moment, are you more worried about Henry at your rear than Harold and Bertie in front of you?
I would definitely say that if the Porsche keeps going, nothing is going to stay with it. You know, the way he's driving, and it's obviously the quickest car in the rally. It's a question of whether it'll keep together. But at the front, I mean, obviously there's only half a minute in it, you know, which isn't very significant at this point. But I'm very much afraid we're all driving too quickly for such a long rally. But then, unless everybody slows down together, you can't risk slowing down. So it's a funny situation to be in at this point.
But we've all the stages down south in front of us. Won't that be very much your scene?
Well, I don't know. We've never rallied that territory before, and you know, I think it's equal going for everybody, which is good. It's a bit of an unknown quantity at this point.
Nice talking to you, Billy. Thank you.
Thank you.
Well, Jimmy McRae, you've had serious engine problems. Are you worried, or do you think it's going to be okay now?
Well, I don't know. I think with the cylinder head gasket went last night, and we run 2 stages with the temperature very high. They've replaced the gasket, but it's blowing a lot of oil out, and it's also using oil. So we don't know. If we get to Waterford, then it might be all right. But the car's down in power as well, so we just need to. I think the rings and the piston rings must have gone.
And your stage times are suffering a great deal as a result.
Yes, they are a bit. But we've been trying to keep the revs back a bit as well, not rev it so high. So we'll see if after the next 2 stages or 3 stages what the car's like.
I hope it's going to be okay, Jimmy. Thank you.
Okay, thanks.
Thanks, Jimmy.
If we made the top 15 by Waterford, we'd be very lucky, but having been 7th quickest in the first stage, we hung on for our top 10 position, and we hope to hang in there if the car keeps going.
Are you trying to conserve the car at all, keeping in mind the long rally that we have to go through on Sunday and Monday?
Oh, definitely. We haven't been at full pace at all. There's still a bit of speed left in it if we had to use it, but I think the rally hasn't begun yet.
Thanks, Mike.
Thanks.
What Mike didn't tell us here at the interview session while the drivers waited at the start of the Mondello stage was that he was in absolute misery throughout the Friday stages, suffering from a severe dose of the flu. What he couldn't tell us, because it hadn't yet happened, was that he was about to crash off the famous Sally Gap stage at high speed. He lost a lot of time, somehow got going again and battled on with never a complaint. This is Austin McHale on the Mondello circuit, a home from home for the Dubliner and the scene of many saloon car race victories for him. There were large numbers of spectators in the rally, more than demonstrated here, with the Rothmans helicopter chattering overhead, almost blotting out the noise of the rally cars. Indeed, many of the drivers remarked later that on this and other stages, the noise and shadow of the chopper was very disconcerting. As Ernest Kidney and Mike Dunyan powered their way round Mondello, the leading cars were already on their way to the Wicklow Mountains and the classic stages of Sally Gap and Akavana. News of some later runners filtered through at Mondello, like Damien Campbell, out with a blown engine after leading Class 2 overnight in his Sunbeam. News also of Tim Bryce, slowed with a gearbox problem and losing his Group A lead. At the head of the field it was still Fisher leading, Demuth, Coleman and Toivonen second, third and fourth, the pace hot and heavy in the sunshine. All sorts of dramas were unfolding up in the hills, however, with the clink of those green bottles in the air as well. Billy Coleman had a puncture, losing 2.5 minutes. Austin McHale had a suspension problem here, losing a little time, and Henry Toivonen, he just flew, moving up to second place behind Bertie Fisher. And the green bottles, yes, 2 of them. 3-time circuit winner Jimmy McRae stopped when his AC Delco Manta engine finally let go. The second green bottle going to Finland's Juha Kankinen. Juha, after moving into 10th place overall and taking the Group A lead, the Finn's Toyota Corolla engine lost its oil pressure, and that was that. Kankinen in Finland means hangover. There was more than a possibility that the young Finnish tree farmer was about to acquire one. He had just taken the Group A lead when he was out of the 1984 Rothmans circuit. We often hear how dangerous rallying can be. Accidents can happen so easily, as we are about to see. Luckily, the Ulster Automobile Club marshals have taken all the right precautions and no damage is done, but it could easily have been so different. A tricky junction and Demuth reads it wrong. The 2 ladies very nearly had a 350 horsepower Audi in their shopping bags. That's how quickly it can happen. Toivonen, he reads it right. And he's sitting on the same side of the car as Demuth. Fisher gets it right, and notice the tape is back in position. As does Austin McHale, he gets it right, and they're both sitting on the normal side of the car. But Billy Coleman, sitting on the left, gets it wrong. That's just how easily an accident can happen.
Ernest Kennedy, you're in 7th place at the moment. How will you play it from here on?
Well, you've got to have some sort of philosophy, and there's a Porsche, an Audi, and a handful of Mantas that this car just can't live with. So I can't expect to do that, and I want to stay as close to them as I can and in front of everyone that's behind, as easy as that.
There is no way anyone can argue with Ernest Kidney's thinking. He was playing exactly the right game, but still having to motor hard to maintain his 6th position. The rally was now winding its way on southwards. From the Wicklow Hills it was through counties Carlow and Kilkenny, Waterford the Saturday night goal. The speeds were high, desperately so at the front, the rally cars under tremendous mechanical pressure, suspension, gearboxes and back axles as well as engines taking the strain of the 100 mph plus over the bumpy stages. Bertie Fisher was still leading, but only just. Henry Toivonen was steadily closing that gap. Billy Coleman was in 4th place, while Ernest Kidney, as we've just heard, was 6th overall. Derek Davis was still giving his co-driver John Price hand signals, and they were lying in 8th place at this point. Former World Hot Rod champion Davy Evans, pictured here in his Nissan Datsun, was on his first ever rally, and he was holding an unbelievable 7th position overall. The fight for Group A was desperately close on the Saturday, but at last young Northern Ireland driver Alan Johnson, after making a steady and sensible start, has moved into the Group A lead with the C-Link sponsored Toyota Corolla GT. Fellow Group A runner Tim Bryce had been off the road in Sally Gap, dropping back. Car 64 here, Julian Raymond, was just outside the top 10, while Mill Street's Barry Duggan had a rear wheel and brake problem. The hard-charging Jenny Burrell was chasing Brian Wiggins for Group N honours in her little Samba. Car 90 was Cork's Jerry O'Flynn in the Escort, while Martin Grandin had to withdraw from the rally, unfortunately, on the sad news of his father's death. The sole all-lady crew were Marie Maloney and Catherine Tracy in the Opel.
John Price, you're currently up to 7th place. Are you happy with your performance?
Yeah, we've had a very good day today, and we've had no problems at all. The cars ran well, and yeah, I'm happy at 7.
And what about the stages down today? Did they suit your car in particular?
Yes, the last couple suited it, and probably tomorrow it'll be even better, so we're hoping to improve on 7th tomorrow anyway.
So you're going to give it 10 tenths from the first stage tomorrow morning?
I wouldn't say 10 tenths, probably 9 tenths. And take it from there. You can't drive this event 10 tenths, you'll never finish it.
That's true, it's a finisher's rally, John. Thank you.
Thanks.
How true were those final remarks of John Price's? The circuit is not yet at the halfway mark. 2 days gone and 3 to go. The equivalent of many another international ahead, and just over 50 cars still running from the original 90 starters. As the tired drivers head for Waterford and a night's sleep, yet another drama on the 1984 Roughman Circuit of Ireland unfolds. Rally leader on Friday night and most of Saturday, Bertie Fisher and his co-driver Austin Fraser are stopped in stage 20, Ballycuddy. Another green bottle hits the deck. There are now 4 drivers left out of the original top 10. A disappointed, bitterly disappointed Bertie Fisher tells us how his dreams were shattered.
Bertie Fisher, after a brilliant drive, you've had mechanical problems and you're out. Could you tell us what was really wrong?
Yeah, we broke a half shaft on stage 20 about 3 miles into the stage, going up a hill from a junction. Half shaft snapped, and that was it. We radioed the service van and got them turned. They were halfway to Waterford and they came back and into the stage, and we changed the axle. But we were over at maximum time allowance whenever we got out of the stage.
And your stage time is on the way down. Have you been happy with them?
Yes, we were very happy. We were just going as we had planned, really. We were having a good run.
Well, we hope you'll have better luck on the next occasion, Bertie. Thank you.
Thanks very much.
The crews were allowed a 15-minute service on the quayside at Waterford before the dusty rally cars were put into Park Fermy. Harold de Moot needed that 15 minutes and more his Audi needing a gearbox, differential and engine work. The new rally leader, however, was Henry Toivonen. Harold de Muth was second, just. Billy Coleman had a fine run into third, with Austin McHale pulling back to fourth. Kidney's drive to fifth was exemplary, while Davy Evans was surprising in sixth, John Price 7, Winston Henry at 8, Russell Gooding 9, and Alan Johnson, Group A leader, in 10th. Beautiful sunshine greeted circuit leader Henry Toivonen as he headed out over the new Waterford stages at 7 o'clock on the Sunday morning. De Muth should have been behind the Porsche, but it was Coleman who was second on the road. Yet another green bottle was about to crash. De Muth's Audi engine was terminally sick. Another top 10 driver was sadly to go out. The German car made it to the service area at the Waterford glass factory, but it was to go no further. The ever-pleasant German even had to drive those first two Sunday stages with the engine stuck at full revs, but the damage was now terminal. De Muth had done a good job on the Irish Tarmac stages. His chance of a good circuit placing was now gone, and also gone was the chance of European Championship points, of which the circuit is a coefficient 2 counter. And Price was still getting the hand signals, but flew off the road on the second of the Sunday stages, losing 6 minutes and dropping from 7th to 9th overall. Fortunately, the Renault sustained little damage. The Hereford driver was able to battle on at unabated speed. Billy Coleman was now up to second place. Behind him was Ernest Kidney, the highest placed Northern Ireland driver, in fourth. Davy Evans was up to fifth overall, and Russell Gooding makes an appearance here, lying in 8th position. The Sunday stages were mostly fast and smooth, with lots of sweeping bends and gentle crests, where the drivers were able to make their cars flow. The crowds loved it. The weather was perfect in the Waterford countryside at its beautiful best, and what crowds there were, often 10 and even 20 deep. Henry Toivonen used his Porsche speed to full advantage on the Sunday, stretching his lead throughout the day. The pace of the leading three was hectic, every second counting. Austin McHale lost valuable seconds when his Manta engine overheated momentarily. Apparently the fan blades broke off. Coleman in second place pushed his Opel as hard as he dared. Kidney maintained fourth, while Davy Evans in the Nissan was speeding up and about to pay the price. Russell Gooding was also charging hard. He was up to 8th position now. Winston Henry was flying in 6th place. Alan Johnson so nearly overcooked it here, but the Group A leader now had the bit between his teeth, and Group A by the scruff of the neck. As Toivonen charges on, let's hark back to rally safety for just a moment. Keep an eye on the 3 clowns, one of them wearing a Rothman's jacket, spectating on the inside of this bend. Never a look over their shoulders as they nip in and out. Many of the drivers reported near misses with spectators on the Sunday. Indeed, many of the drivers said they actually slowed down and lost time because of them. But these 3 spectators, rallying could well do without. As the circuit heads on through the brilliant sunshine past Carrick-on-Suir, we have a quick word with the 2 leading Group A cars. Banbridge's Ken McKinstry, second in Group A, and Alan Johnson, leading Group A. Plus a word with former World Hot Rod champion Davy Evans, who had a slight mishap on Special Stage 26, Rathcormac.
Kenny McKinstry in 2nd place for Group A honours. How has the battle with Alan Johnson been developing today?
Well, there's really been no battle so far. We're letting Alan motor on his own. I would say Alan, he's probably trying to get up into, into the top 10 a bit further on. We're leading the class, I think, by 13 or 14 minutes, this morning. So we're Pat Fennell, I think he was catching us at one time, but he's now out. So it's very much a sort of sit where you are and let the other boys do whatever they want to do,
Alan Johnson, you're the Group A leader, 10th overall. Do you hope to increase that position overall?
Yeah, well, the way they're falling out, I think I will, but we've been getting time on Kenny and a couple of the others in the classes and in the group, and if everything goes well, I think we should do, There's a lot more in the car, and we're not just driving that awfully quick at the minute.
So you'll ease off the pace a small little bit and hoping to conserve the car as far as Belfast?
That's right, or to get into Donegal, and I'll probably go a wee bit quicker there. I'm more used to the roads there. So we're looking forward to getting there, We had a problem with the car this morning, but I think it was over full of oil or something similar to that,
But we hope that it'll be okay for you to the finish. Thanks, Alan.
Yeah, thank you very much.
Davy Evans, you're having a brilliant rally so far, but you've had your problems this morning, I gather.
I just went off on a very slight right-hander. I thought I was a lot faster than I was and come in just too quick, And the car just slid on into the bank, but we've got our sort out now and we're going again.
How much time did you drop?
We dropped 2 minutes of stage time and 2 minutes of the road time penalty. But we're still best place, we haven't lost a place, so.
And no major car damage?
No, nothing, only a wing and a spat.
Keep up the good work, Davy. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Ken McKinstry was referring there, of course, to Frank Fennell, not Pat. But unbeknown to Ken, the Dubliner Sunbeam was being parked just down the road, the engine terminally blown. But Finland's Henry Toivonen was still going strong as the rally headed out past Clonmel and over the Knockmealdown Mountains. The NDT-packed Opel Manta 400 of Boston McHale seemed to have suffered no ill effects from its little overheating problem. Austin was to be second quickest over the day, behind Toivonen, but in front of teammate Billy Coleman. For Cork farmer Coleman, in 2nd place, the Sunday was important, yes. Every second lost to McHale was important. But overriding everything in Coleman's eyes was the need to preserve the Opel Ireland Manta. For Coleman, this was still a 5-day rally. Compared to the 3 cars in front, 4th placed Ernest Kidney was well down in horsepower. The Lotus Sunbeam just didn't have the go of the Porsche or the Opels, but Ernest was still best of the rest, and the Robin Lands prepared and service Sunbeam was giving no problems. English driver Russell Gooding in the ex-Works Vauxhall Chevette was working his way quietly up the leaderboard to hold 8th place overall. Gooding had come to the circuit with the confidence of a 10th place on the recent Portuguese rally under his belt. And looking at the crowds and the weather, Russell was probably wondering if he was still in Portugal. It was the warmest April day ever recorded in the sunny southeast. As the rally passed Dungarvan, Toyman was still showing his world class at the head of the field. The two Mantas battled on in second and third place, McHale using every inch of the road. John Price had recovered from his earlier Sunday accident and was now in 8th position overall. Winston Henry was thrilling the crowds with his driving style, but was slowed by a broken exhaust. Mike Dunyan had made a marvellous recovery from Saturday's accident, his Chevette setting times right with the leaders. Warren Craig was doing his first rally for nearly 3 years, throwing the XRA Batman Ford Escort. English driver Ian Harrison was lying second in class behind McKinstry. Listen out now for the cheer that the Dungarvan crowd were to give their favourite rally driver, Marie Maloney. As Plum Tyndall and Belfast Dan Daly joined the crowds in Stradbally to watch the leaders over the final few stages to Waterford, Toyman's lead looked secure. Coleman was now 6 minutes behind the leader. Billy was looking behind at his teammate McHale rather than ahead to the Porsche. The gap between the two Opels was just over a minute, too close for Coleman's comfort. Fourth placed Ernest Kidney was nearly 9 minutes behind McHale's Manta and content to let it go. Russell Gooding was still hanging on to his 8th position and having quite a battle with 7th placed John Price. Winston Henry was now 5th, a super drive, but still having exhaust problems. Alan Johnson was up to 9th, and Julian Roderick had moved into 10th place. Mike Dunyan was racing up the leaderboard, while Ken McKinstry was into 11th place. David Mann in the Corolla GT was now 12th overall. Brian Wiggins was leading Group N ahead of Jenny Burrell. And Cork's Jerry O'Flynn was still sporting his red label.
To be back in 15th position earlier on, does it surprise you to have 5 minutes of a lead at this stage?
Well, for sure, I didn't expect that after the early problem which we had, we could get the gap, back so quickly. But I suppose the secret actually why we did it was that I'm very much more experienced with the note rallies when we use notes and the English drivers or Irish drivers, so I gained there quite a lot and I got valuable minutes there. Okay, now I'm leading so much, it's just that this rally is very, very hard and long, and the others has had a lot of problems. Even we were already in the lead when the others started to drop. Just means that this rally, anybody can win this.
After dropping a few minutes in the first stage this morning, Billy, has Austin been putting a lot of pressure on you?
The position is about the same. We're trying to keep up a fairly quick pace without losing our heads, but I think it's quite a fast pace though.
And no problem since with the car?
We have deranged the steering a little bit on a bump, that's all. We're going to repair it now.
Keep it going, Billy, thank you. Okay.
As the rally swept into Waterford along the coast, the Sunday dramas were not finally over. Rothmans had a go-kart demonstration on the Sunday night in Waterford's People's Park. Toivenen's go-kart was to career backwards into a tree. The rally leader was taken to hospital, appearing on Monday morning on crutches. With still a huge mileage to do through Monday and all of Monday night to the Tuesday afternoon finish, Toivenen's leg and back injuries didn't bode well for the Finnish superstar. What appeared to have been a secure lead was now looking just a little fragile. What should have been a restful 20-hour halt in Waterford turned into a medical marathon for Henry. Worse was to follow. Virtually carried to his Rothmans Porsche at the Monday restart, his German machine's gearbox started to act up on the first Monday stages. Although running on schedule here, Toivonen was about to drop back. Billy Coleman was about to become the new Rothmans circuit leader. Toivonen's Porsche had now lost third gear completely and was momentarily stuck in fifth. He had dropped 7 minutes freeing the gearbox selectors and was now back in fourth place. A worse fate, however, was to befall driver Winston Henry. Notice co-driver John Hunter receiving substance in the background from one of the service crew, Olivia Downey, as Winston tells us what happened.
Well, on the last stage we were coming into a right-hander downhill which was loose, and as we braked, a heavy pothole in the steering arm sheared the two studs, slid into the bank straight in front. So the car stalled. We had no starter, so spectators pushed us back and carried on to the next corner, which was a left-hander. Due to the steering arm being broke, which we didn't know about, we just went straight into the bank, and that was it all over, more or less. Well, of course, we managed to push the car back down the hill and carry on for 9 miles with just one front wheel steering, which, with the result, we weren't able to go that fast, and we ended up over our lateness, and that was it all over.
A fine 6th place gone for Winston Henry. The rally was now sweeping northwest through Southern Ireland with stages in counties Tipperary and Clare before a supper halt in Galway City. As leader Billy Coleman heads the field out of the Galway Park Ferme, the circuit veteran and 2 times winner knows how tough the night ahead will be. Billy's father, John Coleman, helps him check his Peltor intercom. Every detail must be just right. Billy's co-driver, Ronan Morgan, looks pensive. A week before the rally, he didn't even know if he had a drive or not, and here he was leading the rally every Irishman wants to win. It's misery personified, however, for Henry Toivonen, crutches and all. His leg and back injuries are still causing him pain. Co-driver Ian Grindrod relieves the workload by driving between stages, but the Porsche gearbox is now in its last legs, the car even having to be pushed out of service. Reverse gear has now gone. Through the darkness, few people are aware of just how hard Coleman and McHale are driving. It's 10 tenths on every stage. With 3 of the original top 10 seeds left in the rally, another green bottle is about to hit the deck. At a service area on the main Sligo to Ballyshannon Road, the Porsche service crew tried to change the gearbox. In at 3:15, it had to be out at 3:45, but there's no chance. Circuit winner of 20 years ago, Ronnie McCartney, comforts Henry, and the Finnish superstar who thrilled the circuit spectators would have been leading the European Championship if he could have won, but now there were 2 green bottles left. As dawn breaks over the Donegal countryside, it's the Dubliner, Austin McHale, in the lead, now suffering from flu, but driving his heart out. Billy Coleman, leading earlier in the evening, and how often do you see the County Cork farmer locking wheels, is now in 2nd place. It certainly had been a long, tough night. The drivers are heading to breakfast at Letterkenny. The stages up at the northernmost tip of Donegal had been bumpy and tough. In the bright sunshine, that was now past. For most crews, it was a matter of keeping station and out of trouble. McHale's lead over Coleman was over a minute at Letterkenny. The Cork farmer was telling everyone at breakfast his challenge was over. But he was to make one last charge. The stage after breakfast was a 12-miler called Glen Mafin. McHale was still leading, but relaxed. His lead looked secure. Coleman was flying. He took 23 seconds off the Dubliner. Still, Austin had enough in hand. But on the very next stage, there was a shattering noise of yet another green bottle falling off a wall. McHale was out. His engine cracked open, oil everywhere. Coleman was the new and final circuit leader. For the Dubliner, his co-driver, Christy Farrell, and all the hard-working mechanics, it was hard to take in, so near and yet so far. For Coleman, all he had to do was cruise the Manta through the last 3 stages to Belfast. The pace had been so hot and heavy that the gap to 2nd place was a massive 20 minutes, a lifetime in rallying's timescale. Looking back over the circuit and those 9 green bottles that fell off the wall, it was always Coleman who maintained from the start that the pace was too fast. He wanted to conserve the car. That thought was uppermost in his mind throughout the 5 days. Ironically, 3 weeks after the circuit, as this tape was being edited, news came through that Coleman's engine had a crack in it, just like McHale's, and he was lucky to finish. But finish he did. On the final run into Belfast, it was English driver Tim Bryce in 8th place. His Sunbeam had led Group A at one point, until troubles intervened. David Mann in 7th finished 3rd Group A car. His Toyota had had alternator problems which slowed him down in the final night. Lawnmower mechanic Ken McKinstry had driven his brother Sam's supposedly outdated RS2000 to a splendid 2nd in Group A. For Alan Johnson and Bobby Willis in the C-Link supported Corolla, it was a fairy tale, trouble-free rally, a Group A victory and 5th overall. John Price in 4th drove better than anyone can ever remember, like his old days in the Porsches, but he does need to practice those handbrake turns. Davy Evans on his first ever rally, to finish 3rd on the circuit, it was marvellous. He had now lost all interest in hot rods. For 2nd place Ernest Kidney, the 84 circuit memory must have a special place on his mantelpiece. The last green bottle in circuit victors, Billy Coleman and Ronan Morgan. The Ulster Automobile Club organised a superb 5-day Rothman Circuit of Ireland under the iron guidance of Clerk of the Course, Donald Grieve. This is Brian Patterson, hoping you enjoyed the Cork Video Services tape of this epic 5-day battle.